Welcome to Am I Right? Well, Debbie, you're back in from Washington where you attended the state dinner with David Cameron and a whole bunch of big Obama fundraisers. How'd you find a seat in that crowd?
George Clooney. It was wonderful, Nolan.
You could sit next to him.
I got to talk to him, and it was a very diverse group of people. Quite frankly, one of the things the Obamas always do. So I spoke to a recipient of a Purple Heart who had been in Afghanistan and lost his hand and had been wounded. So it was great. Nolan, I am not jaded. Going to a state dinner is a big deal, and I
It's also a nice way to reward your big donors. Obama
Nolan,
invited
that group was
a lot of bundlers there last night.
It had many,
a lot of his Hollywood mouthpieces.
I'm going to tell you, Nolan, you're going to be sorry. Nobody's going to ruin my state dinner, but I want to say one more thing to you. I think it's great that Michigan and Michigan State are in the playoffs. BUD, but I want people to pay attention to the girls, too. The women's teams are in there playing strong. Michigan and Michigan State women's teams. So go girls.
I hope you got your bracket filled out.
It's a
Debbie,
new verb.
The only thing anyone is talking about in Detroit this week is the consent agreement Governor Rick Snyder presented to the mayor and city council. Am I right that Mayor Dave Bing and council members are looking at their very last chance to avoid a complete state takeover?
Well, yeah, the city's going to run out of money.
Yeah.
So it's here. I don't know how it's going to get worked out. I am scared to death about how it's going to get worked out, because if it doesn't get worked out, we're all going to suffer. Detroit is connected to southeastern Michigan. Southeastern Michigan healthy is a full state of Michigan. We are all in this. It's totally broken down there.
Well, I found the reaction to the governor's plan very disappointing. He crafted a plan that he thought would provide a path for the city out of this problem. He left the mayor and council in place, where if he'd appointed an emergency manager, they'd be gone. He gave them some influence over the process, and they just went knee-jerk, off like a rocket. And to a certain extent, the governor is right when he says there's a cultural problem in Detroit that keeps it from accepting outside help. This was offered only at the end of a long process in which he could not bring Detroit officials, mayor and the council, together on their own plan. He's got no choice.
I think the choice of cultural problem was a very bad choice of word and place into the race issue.
Well, there were a lot of bad choices of words this week.
It's been a very bad week. I wish that we could wave a magic wand and take all of the emotion, the passions, the inappropriate words out of here and find a way that everybody comes to a table and understands it is the future of this city that's at stake. I hope to God that the pressure of understanding a city is going to go bankrupt and they better come up with a solution is going to drive them to some kind of solution in the next few days.
Well, the governor's being accused, wrongfully so, of jumping the gun on this, of rushing this in. That is just the most ridiculous statement. He could have done this in December and would have been right to do so, and would have probably done the city a big favor in that it would have had more cash reserves. But he kept listening to the mayor assure him that they were nearing an agreement. Every 2 weeks you'd hear, oh, we're nearing an agreement. Meanwhile, the mayor and city council have never sat down across from each other and discussed this in a meaningful fashion.
But we need something to happen, because the people of Detroit deserve a city that has the lights on and a bus system that works and a healthy, viable city. Well, Nolan, another week, another twist in the Republican presidential primary. Am I right that Rick Santorum's sweep of the South prolongs the GOP race for a long time to come?
Well, it certainly prolongs it. How long, I don't know. What people missed Tuesday is that Mitt Romney got more delegates, or at least as many delegates as anybody else. He got a third of the delegates, even after finishing third in the two contests now, South Alabama and Mississippi, and he picked up Hawaii. This is now about a delegate race, and somebody's got to get to that magic number. I think it's 11, 14, or whatever it is. Romney's approaching 500 now. Santorum hasn't broke the 200 mark. Newt Gingrich is trailing behind. These guys will pick up some wins here and there. Santorum and Gingrich, they'll take some southern states. But as long as Romney continues to show a strong second in the places he's not expected to win, and win those states in the West and the Northeast and the Midwest where he should win, this is still Romney's baby.
Well, I can completely agree that I believe that Romney's going to win. I think Newt Gingrich should probably get out, and I think Republicans have a lot of headaches. I did the math on this week, and I think I'm doing this from my head, but Rick Santorum would have to get 68% of the remaining delegates to win.
Not going to happen.
Mitt Romney's is about 48. He has to get 48%. The direction that this is going to head, but has this primary weakened Mitt Romney as a candidate? Is it making it more difficult for him to be a strong general election
Well,
candidate?
it's interesting. I read a story last week that went back to May of 2008 and read the clippings that were being written about the Democratic primary then, which featured a very heated battle and a prolonged battle between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. And you could have subbed out Mitt Romney's name in any of those stories. There were questions: did this long battle weaken Barack Obama? Did this hurt the Democratic Party? And we know that in November it didn't. Republicans will come together at the end. Now, what might hurt if it goes to the convention and there's a lot of unhappy Republicans come out the door? I think that would be a mistake for Newt Gingrich and Rick Santorum to stay in beyond the point where they have a hope of winning the delegate race and try to force this at the convention, because neither one of them will come out of the convention as the nominee.
Well, and I have said many times, I think Mitt Romney is a formidable general election campaign. I think at the moment, right now, in Michigan alone, Barack Obama's up 19 or 20 points. It's going to tighten.
I don't trust that, no.
What did I just say to you? It's going to tighten. Higher gasoline prices will drive this.
Well, Debbie, speaking of higher gasoline prices, despite trying to fake up a war on women, President Barack Obama's approval rating is taking a plunge. Am I right that voters have their eyes on the pump as they go, and as prices go up, the president's re-election hopes go down?
You are right that voters have their eye on the pump. I wouldn't tie the president's re-election plans directly to the price of the pump.
Well, he had hoped that twisting this whole war with the Catholic Church, his own attack on the freedom of religion, would fire up women voters. And if you look at those approval surveys, the last one showed him doing rather poorly with women. People are still focused on their pocketbooks here.
This election is going to be about jobs, jobs, and jobs. But the fact of the matter is that when you look at the polling questions and you look at who people trust, he is winning in many of the polls. Barack Obama is trusted more than the Republicans are, with a broader group of people. I think it is. No, look, we're polling this every which way to Sunday.
Everybody's
I think
got
here's
polls.
the reality, Nolan. It's going to be a competitive race. It's going to be about the economy. It's going to be about jobs. It's going to be who people believe is going to ultimately deliver in the end. Who's going to protect them? Who's going to care about me? And the fact that I have to pay for my kids to go to college. My milk prices have gone up. My gas prices are up. I can't afford to go to the doctor. Who do I trust to care about me every single day? And that's what's going to result in the end of this election.
And that was how voters voted last time, and they picked someone they thought would. Now, the classic question that Ronald Reagan first raised, are you better off than you were 4 years ago, is going to be asked again this year. And it'll be interesting how an incumbent president answers that question when, in a lot of ways, conditions are worse for people today and people are more discontented and think the direction of the company. We talk about polls. In almost every poll, 2/3 of the people think the country's headed in the right direction. Who do they blame?
Headed in the
wrong direction. I'm sorry. Yes,
they're blaming both parties. Remembering what started this was in a Bush administration.
But you've got an incumbent running against a challenger.
Here's what I'm going to say to you, Nolan, about this election year. 2008 was a Democratic year. 2010 was a Republican year. This year is a year that they're tired of everybody fighting, and they want to see people pull together and come up and solve the nation's problems.
That sounds like it might be good for Ron Paul then. You know, Debbie, I hope this is an election about economics and about jobs. I hope it doesn't suddenly become an election about bombs and war and turmoil on the international scene, and that could happen at a moment's
There are many factors that could change the election at that point. The Detroit delegation in Lansing is vocally unsupportive of Governor Snyder's proposed consent agreement. State Senator Tupac Hunter joins us when we return with Am I Right?